Havenwood was the kind of town where everyone knew your name, your favorite pie, and probably what you dreamed about last night. Nestled between rolling hills and a sparkling river, it looked like a postcard come to life. But behind the charming storefronts and friendly waves, Havenwood held its share of secrets and sorrows. Arthur lived on the edge of town, his small carpentry shop a familiar landmark. He built sturdy chairs, beautiful tables, and the occasional cradle, each piece crafted with care and a touch of sadness. His wife, Martha, had passed away 5 years ago, and the silence in their cozy cottage was a constant reminder of her absence. But there was another absence that weighed even heavier on Arthur's heart, his daughter, Lily. 10 years. 10 years since Lily had packed her bags, said a hurried goodbye, and left Havenwood for the bright lights of the city. Arthur had tried to understand, but the pain of her leaving felt like a splinter that he couldn't quite remove. He missed her bright smile, her infectious laughter, and the way she used to help him in the shop, sanding wood and telling stories. Now, the wood shavings collected dust, and the stories remained untold. Arthur spent his days lost in his work, trying to fill the void with the scent of pine and the rhythm of his hammer. He was a good man, a kind man, but a heartbroken one. Havenwood was a place of comfort, but also a constant reminder of what he had lost. Little did he know, the quiet rhythm of his life was about to be disrupted by the unexpected return of his forgotten daughter. The old blue pickup truck rattled as it made its way down Main Street, a stark contrast to the shiny, modern cars that usually graced Havenwood's roads. It stopped in front of Arthur's carpentry shop, and a woman stepped out. It was Lily. 10 years had etched themselves onto her face. The youthful glow was replaced with a weariness around her eyes, and her bright, bouncy hair was now a sleek, dark bob. Her clothes, once simple and practical, were now stylish and expensive, hinting at a life far removed from Havenwood's humble charm. She looked like she belonged in a magazine, not on Main Street. The sight of her sent a ripple through the town. Mrs. Gable, watering her petunias, nearly dropped her watering can. Old man Fitzwilliam, perched on his usual bench, squinted and adjusted his glasses. Whispers spread like wildfire, "Is that Lily? Lily is back." Arthur, inside his shop, heard the commotion. He peeked through the dusty window, his heart skipping a beat. It was her, all right. But it wasn't the Lily he remembered. This Lily carried an air of sophistication, but beneath it, he saw a flicker of something else, a deep, unshakable sadness. Lily took a deep breath and pushed open the door to the shop, the bell above jingling a familiar tune. Arthur stood frozen, his hand still clutching a piece of unfinished wood. The years melted away, and for a moment, they were father and daughter again, standing in the same shop, surrounded by the scent of sawdust and memories. But the silence that followed was heavy, filled with unspoken words and the weight of a decade apart. "Hi, Dad," Lily said softly, her voice a little shaky. Arthur's initial reaction wasn't the warm embrace Lily might have hoped for. Instead, a wall seemed to rise between them, brick by painful brick. He managed a curt nod, his eyes narrowed slightly. "Lily," he replied, his voice flat, betraying none of the emotions swirling within him. He couldn't ignore the resentment that had been simmering for a decade. 10 years of unanswered letters, missed holidays, and silent birthdays. 10 years of wondering where she was, if she was safe, if she even thought about him. The pain of her leaving was still raw, a wound that refused to heal. "What brings you back, Lily?" he asked, the question hanging in the air like a heavy cloud. He tried to keep his voice neutral, but a hint of bitterness crept in. He deserved an explanation, but part of him was afraid of what she might say. Lily shifted uncomfortably, her eyes darting around the shop, avoiding his gaze. I just wanted to come home," she said softly, the words sounding hollow, even to her own ears. Arthur scoffed, a short, humorless sound. "Home? After all this time? What happened to the big city dreams?" He crossed his arms, his posture defensive. He wasn't going to make it easy for her. He needed to know why she had abandoned him, why she had chosen a life that didn't include him. And why, after all this time, she suddenly decided to reappear. The mystery surrounding her return only fueled his suspicion and made it harder for him to open his heart. He wanted to forgive her, he truly did, but the hurt was too deep, the questions too many. He needed answers before he could even begin to consider letting her back into his life. Feeling lost and rejected after the strained conversation with her father, Lily wandered down Main Street. The whispers and stares of the townsfolk followed her, making her feel like an outsider in the place she once called home. She stopped in front of a small bookstore, its windows filled with colorful covers and inviting displays. The Book Nook, the sign read, in cheerful, hand-painted letters. Inside, the air was warm and smelled of old paper and vanilla. A woman with kind eyes and a warm smile stood behind the counter. This was Clara, the owner of the Book Nook and a beacon of optimism in Havenwood. She had moved to town a few years ago and quickly become a beloved member of the community, known for her book recommendations and her unwavering positive attitude. Clara watched Lily enter, sensing the sadness radiating from her. "Hello," she said, her voice gentle. "Welcome to the Book Nook. Can I help you find something?" Lily managed a weak smile. "I'm just looking, thank you." She browsed the shelves, pretending to be interested in the titles, but her mind was miles away. Clara, however, wasn't fooled. She approached Lily, her eyes filled with genuine concern. "You seem a little lost," she said softly. "Is everything all right?" Lily hesitated, then blurted out, "I just came back to town after being gone for a long time, and it's not exactly going as planned." Clara nodded understandingly. "Havenwood can be like that. It takes a while to find your place again." Then, a spark of an idea lit up her face. "Actually," she said, "I could use some help around here. I've been meaning to hire someone. Would you be interested?" Lily was surprised. "Really? I don't have much experience." "Experience can be learned," Clara replied with a wink. "Kindness and a love for books, those are the things that truly matter. And I have a feeling you have plenty of both." And so, Lily found an unexpected haven in the Book Nook, and Clara became a much-needed confidant, sensing the turmoil beneath Lily's sophisticated exterior. As Lily settled into her new job at the Book Nook, memories of her past in Havenwood flooded back, triggered by familiar faces and forgotten corners. One evening, while closing up the shop with Clara, she finally started to open up about why she left. Flashback. A younger Lily, barely 18, stands at the edge of Havenwood, her backpack slung over her shoulder. She argues with Arthur, her voice filled with frustration. "I can't stay here, Dad. This town is suffocating me. I need to see the world, to do something with my life." Flashback. Lily arrives in the bustling city, her eyes wide with excitement. She dreams of becoming a fashion designer, sketching designs in a small, cramped apartment. She works tirelessly, taking on odd jobs to pay the rent, her ambition burning bright. Flashback. Years later, the excitement has faded. Lily sits at a desk in a large, impersonal office, filing papers and answering phones. Her dreams of designing clothes have been replaced by the reality of a dead-end job. The city that once seemed so full of promise now feels cold and lonely. She had tried to make it, she really had, but the fashion world was cutthroat and unforgiving. One rejection after another chipped away at her confidence until her dreams felt impossible. Flashback. Lily receives a letter from Arthur, filled with concern and longing. She crumples it in her hand, guilt washing over her. She knows she should call, should visit, but the shame of her failure holds her back. She couldn't face him, not until she had something to show for her years away. Back in the present, Lily wiped away a tear. "I thought I was being brave, striking out on my own," she confessed to Clara. "But I was just running away. And now I don't even know if I can fix what I broke." The youthful rebellion, the feeling of being stifled, and the pursuit of her dreams had ultimately led to disappointment and a deep sense of regret. The city hadn't been the answer, and her silence had only deepened the rift with her father. Clara, with her gentle persistence, decided to subtly nudge Arthur towards reconciliation. She knew that Lily needed her father's forgiveness, and Arthur, despite his gruff exterior, longed to have his daughter back in his life. One afternoon, Clara visited Arthur's shop, ostensibly to order a custom bookshelf for the book nook. As Arthur sketched designs, Clara casually mentioned Lily. "She's been a great help at the store," she said. "A natural with people and surprisingly good at recommending books." Arthur stiffened slightly, but he didn't interrupt. Clara continued, "She seems thoughtful. Like she's carrying a lot on her shoulders." Arthur finally looked up, his eyes filled with a mixture of curiosity and concern. "She always was a sensitive girl," he admitted quietly. Emboldened, Clara suggested, "Maybe you should talk to her, Arthur." "Really talk? Hear her side of the story?" Arthur hesitated. "It's not that simple, Clara." "Maybe not," Clara conceded. "But sometimes, the hardest things are the most worthwhile." Following Clara's advice, Arthur started frequenting the book nook. He'd browse the shelves, pretending to be interested in the woodworking section, but his eyes would inevitably drift towards Lily. Their interactions were awkward at first. Stilted greetings, forced smiles, and uncomfortable silences. But slowly, tentatively, they began to talk. Small conversations about the weather, the town gossip, anything to avoid the elephant in the room. One day, Arthur brought Lily a small, hand-carved wooden bird, a robin, just like the ones that used to nest in their garden. It was a peace offering, a silent apology. Lily's eyes filled with tears as she accepted the gift. It wasn't a grand gesture, but it was a start. A small, hopeful step towards healing the wounds of the past. The path to reconciliation was long and uncertain, but with Clara's encouragement and these tentative interactions, a glimmer of hope began to emerge. The annual Havenwood Harvest Festival was in full swing, transforming the town square into a vibrant tapestry of colors, sounds, and smells. The air was filled with the aroma of apple cider, freshly baked pies, and sizzling sausages. Children ran around with painted faces, and laughter echoed through the crowd. It was the perfect setting for a slow, tentative reconciliation. Clara had convinced Lily to help out at the book nook stall, selling used books and homemade bookmarks. Arthur, drawn by the festive atmosphere and the hope of seeing Lily, wandered through the crowd, his eyes searching for her. He found her at the stall, laughing with a group of children as she helped them pick out books. The sight of her smiling, genuinely happy, warmed his heart. He approached cautiously, and Lily's smile faltered slightly as she saw him. "Hi, Dad," she said, her voice a little hesitant. "Hello, Lily," Arthur replied, his voice softer than usual. He gestured towards a nearby bench. "Mind if I sit for a bit?" They sat in silence for a few moments, watching the festivities unfold. Then, Arthur began to tell a story about Lily's childhood, a funny anecdote about a time she tried to bake a cake and accidentally set off the smoke alarm. Lily laughed, and Arthur smiled, relieved to see her genuinely amused. They spent the afternoon sharing stories, reminiscing about old times, and rediscovering their shared history. Arthur told Lily about Martha, her mother, sharing memories that Lily had almost forgotten. Lily, in turn, told Arthur about her experiences in the city, carefully omitting the details she knew would cause him pain. But even amidst the laughter and shared memories, the old hurts lingered. Every now and then, a shadow would pass over Arthur's face, a reminder of the years they had lost. And Lily couldn't shake the feeling that she was still being judged, still having to prove herself worthy of his forgiveness. The festival provided a temporary escape, a chance to connect, but the path to true reconciliation was still a long and arduous one. The unspoken questions and the lingering resentment remained, casting a slight pall over the day's festivities. The evening after the harvest festival, Arthur stopped by the book nook. He wasn't there to buy anything, he needed to talk to Clara. He found her tidying up the shelves, a soft glow from the lamplight illuminating her face. "Clara," he said, his voice hesitant. "I wanted to thank you. For everything." Clara smiled warmly. "You don't need to thank me, Arthur. I just want to see you and Lily happy." Arthur sighed. "It's not easy. I still don't understand why she left. Why she stayed away for so long." Clara paused, choosing her words carefully. "Have you ever thought about how hard it must have been for her, Arthur? Leaving everything she knew, chasing a dream, and then, not succeeding. That takes courage. And coming back here, facing you, knowing how disappointed you must be. That takes even more courage." Arthur looked thoughtful. "I never really considered it from her perspective," he admitted. "I was too focused on my own hurt." "We all are, sometimes," Clara said gently. "But Lily's not a little girl anymore, Arthur. She's a woman who's been through a lot. She's made mistakes, sure, but she's also learned from them. And she's back now, trying to make amends." Clara's words resonated deeply with Arthur. He saw a new side to Lily's story, a side filled with struggle and resilience. He began to understand that her leaving wasn't an act of malice, but a desperate attempt to find her place in the world. And her return wasn't an admission of defeat, but a courageous act of vulnerability. As they talked, Arthur found himself drawn to Clara's empathy and wisdom. He appreciated her ability to see the good in people, even when they were at their worst. He noticed the way her eyes sparkled when she talked about books, the passion she had for her community. A subtle shift occurred, a quiet recognition of something more than just friendship. He was starting to see Clara not just as a helpful neighbor, but as a woman who brought light and understanding into his life, a woman who understood both him and Lily in ways he hadn't thought possible. The seeds of an unlikely romance were being sown, gently and unexpectedly. A fierce storm swept through Havenwood, knocking out power lines and causing minor flooding. The old oak tree in the town square, a beloved landmark, had been struck by lightning, splitting one of its massive branches. The branch teetered precariously, threatening to fall onto the nearby community center. The town was in an uproar, unsure of how to handle the situation. Arthur, with his carpentry skills and knowledge of trees, was the obvious choice to assess the damage. But he needed help. Clara, ever resourceful, organized a group of volunteers to clear debris and provide support. Lily, wanting to prove her worth to the community, eagerly joined in. She remembered how much she enjoyed working with her hands alongside her father when she was younger. Arthur, Lily, and Clara found themselves working together, strategizing how to safely remove the damaged branch. Arthur used his expertise to determine the best way to cut it down, while Lily, remembering her father's lessons, helped him secure the ropes and guide the branch as it fell. Clara, with her calm demeanor and organizational skills, coordinated the volunteers and ensured everyone's safety. Working side by side, they saw each other in a new light. Arthur witnessed Lily's strength and competence, her ability to think on her feet and her willingness to put others first. Lily saw her father's steady hand and unwavering commitment to his community. And both Arthur and Lily were impressed by Clara's leadership and her ability to bring people together. The crisis forced them to rely on each other, highlighting their individual strengths and fostering a deeper understanding. Arthur realized that Lily wasn't just the rebellious teenager who had left Havenwood, but a capable and compassionate woman. Lily saw her father not just as a grieving widower, but as a respected member of the community. And the shared experience brought them closer, forging a stronger bond and paving the way for true reconciliation. It also allowed Arthur to see Clara's true character, further solidifying his growing affection for her. In the days following the storm, Arthur found himself drawn to Clara more than ever. He started stopping by the book nook not just to see Lily, but to see Clara. He admired her unwavering optimism, her genuine kindness, and her ability to make everyone feel seen and heard. He noticed the way she lit up when talking about books, her passion infectious. He appreciated her strength and her quiet wisdom. He was beginning to see her not just as a friend, but as someone who could potentially fill the void in his heart that Martha's passing had left behind. He started helping her around the store, fixing shelves, and building new displays. They would talk for hours, sharing stories and dreams, their connection deepening with each passing day. He found himself laughing more, feeling lighter, and experiencing a joy he hadn't felt in years. He was slowly falling in love with Clara, her presence a warm and comforting balm to his wounded soul. Lily, too, noticed the growing connection between her father and Clara. She saw the way Arthur's eyes lit up when Clara entered the room, the way he lingered a little longer when saying goodbye. She observed Clara's gentle smile and the way she seemed to bring out the best in her father. At first, she felt a flicker of unease, a sense of protectiveness over her father's heart. She didn't want him to get hurt again. But as she spent more time with Clara, she realized that Clara wasn't someone who would ever intentionally cause pain. She was genuine, kind, and deeply caring. Lily saw how happy Clara made her father, how she brought a spark back into his life that had been missing for so long. And slowly, she began to realize that maybe, just maybe, Clara was exactly what her father needed. The thought brought a sense of peace and hope, a feeling that maybe, after all the heartache and loss, her father might finally find happiness again. One sunny afternoon, while Arthur was out running errands, Lily found Clara organizing books in the back of the store. She decided to seize the opportunity to talk to her about her father. "Clara," Lily began, her voice a little nervous. "Can I ask you something?" Clara looked up, her eyes filled with warmth and curiosity. "Of course, Lily. What's on your mind?" Lily hesitated for a moment, then took a deep breath. "I've noticed that you and my dad have been spending a lot of time together." Clara blushed slightly, a shy smile playing on her lips. "Arthur's a good man, Lily. We enjoy each other's company." "I know," Lily said quickly. "And I see how happy he is when he's around you. He hasn't been this happy in years." Clara's smile softened. "He deserves to be happy, Lily. He's been through so much." "That's what I wanted to talk to you about," Lily continued. "I know my dad. He's cautious. He's afraid of getting hurt again. He loved my mom very much, and losing her." She trailed off, unable to find the right words. Clara nodded understandingly. "It's not easy to open your heart again after experiencing loss like that." "Exactly," Lily said, relieved that Clara understood. "So, I just wanted to say, if you feel the same way about him, you should tell him. He's a good man, Clara. He deserves to find happiness again, and I think you could be the one to bring that joy back into his life." Clara's eyes widened in surprise. "Lily, I don't know what to say." "Just think about it," Lily said with a smile. "And if you do feel the same way, don't let him be afraid. He needs a little push, and I think you're the only one who can give it to him." Lily recognized that her father deserved happiness and that Clara could provide the joy he had been missing. She was ready to encourage him to take a leap of faith. That evening, after Lily had gone home, Arthur found Clara alone in the book nook, reading by the soft glow of a lamp. He hesitated at the door, his heart pounding in his chest. He wasn't sure if he was brave enough to say what he needed to say. He took a deep breath and walked inside. "Clara," he said, his voice a little shaky. "Can I talk to you for a moment?" Clara looked up, her eyes filled with a gentle curiosity. "Of course, Arthur. What's wrong?" Arthur fidgeted with his hands, his gaze fixed on the floor. I've been doing a lot of thinking lately," he began, his voice barely above a whisper. "About you, about me, about us." Clara remained silent, patiently waiting for him to continue. Arthur finally looked up, his eyes meeting hers. "Clara, I care about you a great deal. More than I thought possible after Martha." He paused, searching for the right words. "You've brought so much light and joy back into my life. You've helped me reconnect with Lily. You've made me believe that maybe, just maybe, I can be happy again." He took another deep breath, his cheeks flushed with nervousness. "What I'm trying to say is, I'm falling in love with you, Clara. And it scares me, but it also feels right." Clara's eyes filled with tears, her hand reaching out to gently touch his. "Oh, Arthur," she whispered, her voice filled with emotion. "I care about you too. More than you know." She paused, her gaze locking with his. "You're a good man, Arthur. A kind man. And you deserve to be happy. And if being with me brings you even a little bit of that happiness, then I want to be with you too." Arthur's face broke into a wide, genuine smile, a smile that reached all the way to his eyes. He reached out and took her hand, his fingers intertwining with hers. "So, what does this mean?" he asked, his voice filled with hope. Clara smiled back, her eyes sparkling with joy. "It means," she said softly, "that maybe, just maybe, we can write our own happy ending together." He leaned in, and they shared a tender, heartwarming kiss, a kiss that sealed their connection and marked the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. It was a moment filled with hope, love, and the promise of a brighter future. The following months brought a sense of peace and renewal to Havenwood. Arthur and Clara's relationship blossomed, filling their days with laughter, love, and a shared appreciation for the simple things in life. They spent their evenings reading together in the book nook, their weekends exploring the surrounding countryside, and their hearts overflowing with happiness. Arthur rediscovered his passion for carpentry, building beautiful pieces for Clara's bookstore and creating whimsical birdhouses for her garden. He was a changed man, his grief slowly replaced by a sense of contentment he hadn't felt in years. Lily, too, found her place in Havenwood. She thrived at the book nook, connecting with customers and sharing her love of literature. She joined the local book club, made new friends, and even started teaching a creative writing class at the community center. She realized that Havenwood, the town she had once been so eager to escape, was exactly where she needed to be. She found solace in the familiar faces, comfort in the slower pace of life, and a renewed sense of belonging. The rift between Arthur and Lily began to heal, replaced by a stronger, more resilient bond. They spent hours talking, sharing their hopes and dreams, and forgiving each other for the mistakes of the past. Lily finally understood her father's pain, and Arthur finally understood Lily's yearning for something more. They learned to appreciate each other for who they were, flaws and all. As the seasons changed, Havenwood transformed once again, but this time, the change was accompanied by a sense of hope and healing. Arthur, Clara, and Lily had found their way back to each other, creating a family bound not by blood, but by love, forgiveness, and a shared commitment to happiness. The forgotten daughter had returned, not just to Havenwood, but to her father's heart. And in doing so, she had helped him find love again, creating a new family and a renewed sense of hope for the future. The story of their heartbreak had become a story of unlikely romance and the enduring power of love and forgiveness.